Hey guys, this is Carol Edgar, and I just wanted to take a quick moment to kind of give you a general rundown of the three small groups that I break my class into and how it generally works. But then, of course, if you want to know more specific things, give me some more questions and I'll answer those for you. Okay, so first off, I divide the class into three groups. Each of my periods throughout the day are blocks, depending on if you're on a period system or a block system. And so each class would be divided into three groups, so about 1/3 of class at a time. So my classes are typically somewhere between 20 and 30 students, depending on the hour. So that's going to be anywhere from about, about 6 or 7 students all the way to like 10 in a small group. So pretty manageable. So the first group they rotate at different times. So I do it in about 6 weeks of rotations, and I spend about 2 weeks on each rotation. So during one of the rotations, they're in a small group with me where I am giving direct feedback on their writing as they're going through the process. So obviously day one, we're going to talk about the assignment. I'm going to hand out the menu and the schedule that goes along with the assignment, kind of like what that schedule looked like in the webinar that I just watched on EV Academics. And so anyway, so something like that, where they have a real clear plan of what the overview is going to look like and the time frame and that sort of thing. And then every day, because it's a group of 10 or less students, I can typically get on their papers at least once every other day, and sometimes, honestly, every day, depending on how far along in the process they are, which really allows me to tailor the process to that particular student. It allows me to say, hey, in your paragraph, I noticed that you don't have your verb and subject agreements. Let's work on that for this one. Or, maybe if you're working with a more advanced student, you might say something like, this is a really great paragraph, but some of the ways I see that you can make some really big changes and grow your writing would be to make some more complex sentences and compound sentences, and let's flip the predicate around in some. Let's add in some more adjectives and that sort of thing, and really kind of build the process for each individual student. It also allows me to say when they're in the planning stage, how are you going to make this work? Is this a really a good topic, or is this one that that we could change the way we're writing it a little bit and make it a little bit better even. So then in my second small group, they would be working on a lit circle. And my first year doing this, I had about 50 books that I had read that were on their grade level and appropriate, a variety of styles of writing and levels of books. Some were a little bit below 7th grade reading level, some were a little higher. Some were biographies, some were fiction, some were nonfiction, just a real good variety of books. And I kind of let them divide themselves into small groups within that small group. And then each of the groups picks a book from the list. Once the book has been chosen, that book is off the table for the rest of the year. So it kind of is an exciting time to see what they choose. If there's a book after the first 6 weeks or 9 weeks that they're interested in having on the list for the next 9 weeks, if they let me know, I'm more than happy to read it and decide if it's something that's age appropriate and something that I feel like my school would be okay with the students reading and that sort of thing. And if it is, then I add it to the book list and I, purchase books, 3 or 4 copies of that book to put in my either in the library, and if it's not in the library, then I purchase some for the school, for my library in my classroom. And then I allow them to kind of have a little bit of fun with their project. At the end of that rotation, they're going to do a presentation about the book that they have chosen and read together. And the presentation can really be, it can be a video that they create. It can be a book report. It can be, they could do a comic book about it. They could, as long as it talks about the, whatever character conflict, if that's what that book is really good at, if it talks about, and each of the books I've read, I've kind of like done some basic parameters of things that the book does really well and kind of hone in the kids on that topic. And I might even have some videos that go along with that particular topic if we haven't already discussed it in class. And then in my third rotation, they are doing grammar and or other just general ELA subject matter that I don't want to spend large group time on. I mean, let's think about it. When we were kids, did we like sitting in the classroom all day talking about grammar? No, not really, right? So what I've done is I created videos, and I've used some videos I have found online, and it might be about figurative language. It might be about character conflict and what type of conflict it is. It might be point of view. Just a variety of different things, any type of grammar topic. And I use all kinds of videos and supplemental tools. And there might, instead of being a video for one, it might be Google Slides that they read through, or, just a whatever. And then they will do each day some worksheets online, and it grades all of those for me because I go ahead and put those all in Google Forms and that sort of thing. And it makes the grading process super easy. I can see where they are in the process. And, as they're coming in the store each day, I can say, hey, John, I noticed that you're on day 7. I'm so proud of you. You're ahead of the game. Or I've noticed that Aaron, you're only 2 days in. You got to step it up or you're going to be a little bit behind, and you might have to come and see me on during 8th period or whatever during the day, and kind of use that time to catch them up and that sort of thing. And then of course it's again based on their IEPs and all of those sorts of things, and I kind of break it down as needed. And again, on the other side of the, if they're in a lit circle, the beauty of that, if they're maybe a kid that doesn't read on the same level as someone else in their small group, then they're going to get to have the benefit of someone that understands what the book is reading, and then the benefit on their side of seeing something that's maybe a little bit higher than what they would normally choose to read on their own, which is a really great thing to have happen. And so that's kind of the setup that I use. And then on the other 3 weeks of the 9-week period, approximately, I do large group instruction. And so that's when the whole class as a whole is together, and we might read those books that the district has chosen that we're going to read, or just other assignments that I really want to have a group discussion on and a whole class experience. Sometimes I break those weeks up in between, the 2-week cycles, like 2 weeks a large group week, 2 weeks large group week. Just depends on not the semester, but the term, and that sort of thing. And then the other thing that I find is really beneficial from doing it this way is it really allows me to tailor the curriculum for each student. So each student on their Google Classroom, if they're in the rotation where they're working on grammar or figurative language and that sort of thing, in their Google Classroom, it's going to have their menu and what they need to do. And their videos might not be as advanced as another student's videos. And I kind of break it down in that way. And so it's just really been beneficial for my classroom. And but honestly, it was truly born out of my first year of teaching in the school I currently teach in. And I don't want to name names of the school, but I went from a school where I had about 80 or 90 students a semester to having 135 students a semester. And I was overwhelmed with the number of students. And our first big writing assignment of the year, I had 9 students that didn't write a word, not one single word of their paper. And they were not students that had 504s, and they were not students that had IEPs. And to me, that was a big failure on my part. And I was like, how can I make sure that this never happens again? And one way I found to do that is to break it up into small groups and not allow that student, the opportunity to not write anything for 3 weeks if we work on it as a class and that sort of thing. So anyway, that's kind of it in a nutshell. But if you have more questions, I'd love to talk to you about it and tell you how I break them down into the small groups and that sort of thing, or whatever your questions may be. All right, thanks. Bye.